Hi, Mary Morrissey here. I am so happy to have you join us today for something that I know will not only help you today, but has the potential to absolutely change the trajectory of your whole life. Every dream that we have is either fostered or diminished by the amount of health and energy and vitality we have to make what really matters to us matter in life. And our guest today is someone that I personally have worked with since 2009 in helping me have the vitality, the energy, the aliveness, the clarity that I call my own health today. And we've traversed many a mountain that Mary was climbing at different times throughout this journey. So before I introduce him, our title today is Gut Health, Energy, and Productivity. So we all want that. We all want gut health for the purpose of energy and productivity. So our presenter today is a board-certified integrative physician by the American Board of Integrative Medicine and a PhD licensed MFT psychotherapist by the California Board of Behavioral Sciences. He practiced psychotherapy for 13 years before entering medical training. His goal is to help every patient get the best of integrative medicine, drawing from both the technological advances of the West and the ancient wisdom of the East. Envisioned as a healing sanctuary where all parts that compose a person, mind, body, and spirit, are equally addressed when treating dis-ease, the AKASHA Center exemplifies his vision and a solid commitment to the practice of integrative medicine. He's treated patients from across the spectrum using his signature East meets West approach and passionately believes that physicians should meet their patients before meeting their disease. I believe he puts into practice every single day. His book, Bloated, outlines his integrative approach to gut health and optimized general health. In addition, he writes for a variety of publications and is a frequent guest on integrative medicine podcasts. So with that, I'd love to welcome to this interview and to your life, Dr. Edison Mello. Welcome, Edison. Dr. Edison.
Thank you, Mary. What a pleasure to be with you.
Yes. So I have a series of questions that I think will help guide our conversation. I want our listeners and our viewers to know that at the end, there's going to be an opportunity for some questions and answers with Dr. Mello. So I get a piece of paper, I take some notes, open your heart and mind that this can really be one of the best investments you make with your time this day. So, Dr. Mello, why did you decide to write a book about bloating and even poop? And you jokingly discuss it in the book.
Well,
about that.
I know I could make another joke and said, why did I write a book about poop? Because everybody poops, right? You know, Mary, throughout my career, there are a number of cases that keep showing up over and over again. The only thing that changes is the person sitting in front of me and the date. But the symptoms, the conditions, the anxiety about it, it's all the same. And that is gut health. Our gut is to us what a hard drive is to a computer, or what a carburetor is to a car, right? No matter how expensive our car is or a computer can be, if the hard driver, and if in the case of a carburetor, if the carburetor is not working well, you're not getting your optimal benefit from that machine. You're not getting it to last longer. And so when I look at the number of people that come in with gastrointestinal illness, gastrointestinal bloating, gassy, feeling really uncomfortable in their own skin, even before COVID, we had reached levels that were, I would say, and I'm very careful using the word endemic, because of what's happening out there, but it was of endemic proportions. And then COVID hit, and we all hear about the post-COVID syndromes, where in most cases the gut being affected, where we cannot eliminate, where we feel our energy is depleted, we feel anxious, we feel uncomfortable about ourselves. So why did I write that book? I wanted, first of all, to educate my patients. And I wanted to educate people who, not only my patients, but people who may not have a chance to come and sit in front of me and help me help them. The second reason I wrote the book is because I wanted to let people know that they're not alone, as this condition has been affecting humankind since the beginning of time. When you're looking at the gastrointestinal system in the theory of evolution, it's the oldest of all symptoms, because every living entity, every living being has to eat and excrete. You know, you don't necessarily have to see, although it's very important, or walk with your legs, but you do have to have nutrients in yourself, in your body, to be able to function. And so the gastrointestinal system is the oldest of all systems in terms of evolution. And with that, it has a lot of history, right? In our language, in our spoken language, the GI is heavily used. We say things like, what's your gut feeling? When we want to know our intuition, when we want to know the sixth sense, when we are nervous, we say, wait, it feels like I have butterflies in my stomach.
Mhm.
When somebody hurts us, oh, that felt like I got kicked in my stomach.
Mhm.
And that's just a few of the examples of how we use the GI tract to express our emotions, to express our vitality, to express when things are not going well. And so I wanted to start a conversation with people about it. I wanted them to know that if they are having those symptoms where they don't feel energized, where they don't feel happy in their own skin, where food becomes a painful experience rather than a joyful experience, I wanted to write about it. I wanted to educate them, and I wanted to bring it out in the open for us to have conversations like this.
Mhm. Awesome. And I haven't read it myself. I know that you brought hope along with education. So, uh, so Doctor, and I fondly over time have come to call you Dr. Edison because I've been coming to you personally since 2009. And I've seen the way you work, not only with me, but with so many people I know now, including many friends along the way, colleagues who have come to you for support and help and transformation in their own health. So with what's going on in our gastrointestinal system, if we're having bloating or having a challenge, what are some of the medical and some of the psychological manifestations of this?
Well, the medical manifestations that you feel, you feel that your pants are not fitting you anymore. You feel difficulty walking around. It's like you are carrying a balloon filled with water inside your gut. And so you feel uncomfortable. And men and women present differently. Guys can make fun about this, about passing too much gas. They can joke about it, and it's kind of like culturally accepted. Women, however, tend to suffer more in silence. And there's this question about whether or not it's something that they've done wrong, and why are they being punished for. So medically speaking, the gut, because it's the seat of your health, and some of us believe it's also the seat of our soul. We'll get to that later on. But right now, let's refer to it as the seat of your health. When that is off, everything is off. So you feel constipated, or you're passing too much stool, right? You feel that no matter what you do, your energy is depleted. Remember, you're carrying a balloon of water, feels like, inside of you. You feel not ready to face the world because you're embarrassed. You feel your sleep is disturbed because you may be burping a lot, or you may having to go to the bathroom in the middle of the night. So sleep is disturbed, anxiety, self-esteem goes down the drain. Um, and and the overall sense of being healthy, being somebody who can, take on the world, kind of takes second place because now everything's about where's the next bathroom, and everything that you do becomes more involved because you have to plan ahead. A lot of my patients said, I cannot travel freely anymore because I never know when I'm going to have to go. And sometimes there is no time to wait. Or I cannot go out to dinner with people because my diet is so restricted. Because if I eat this on that, my symptoms get better. So in terms of medical presentation, the list is long
I
and we
see.
can spend hours and hours talking about it. Emotionally, you just feel like there's something wrong with you. You don't like what you see when you look at the mirror. You don't like how you present to the world. You feel that everybody else is having the time of their lives, but you're not. And so there's a lot of depression, anxiety, panic attacks usually, and just not being happy, feeling really happy associated with feeling bloated.
Wow. So how does it affect your energy and really the power of your mind?
That's a great question. So as you know, good old Hippocrates, right? The father of modern medicine once said, you are what you eat. I've added a bit more to that quote, and I said, on my book, I said, you are what you eat and what you have been fed. Because sometimes especially if you're children, or if you're college students, or if you are having, hard time in life, you don't have a lot of choices. So you have to eat what's put in front of you. And when I say you are what you eat and what you're being fed, that what you're being fed is also the messages that we get from the universe, the message that we think we're getting from people around us that says, do something about it. What's wrong with you? And so I think the way to really get to the bottom question of what is the first step for us to take when you feel bloated, is to take a step back and realize that your body talks to you. It has a language, and that language, you and I have talked about it throughout the years, Mary. The language that your body has, it's called symptoms, right? If you are raised in the US, you learn how to speak English. If you're raised in Brazil, like I was, you learn how to speak Portuguese. So we are all connected through languages, and our body is no different. It uses a language to communicate with us. That language is called symptoms. So the first thing that I ask my patients when they come in and they are dealing with this really bothersome condition, I ask them if they're ready to listen to their language of their body. I say, your body is whispering to you. It whispers little things here and there. Are you ready to listen? So that's the first step, is to step back and say, am I ready to make a change? Because if you think you're not ready to make a change, no change will happen, right? Everything happens twice. You first has to see it. And you are a master of that, I know, in your work about manifesting one's dream. What is the dream? What is the goal? To be healthy, to get rid of bloating. So you have to see that and imagine that possible. That's the first step. The second step is not to see bloating or any disease as the enemy. It's not the enemy. It's here to show you that there's another way for you to do life. It's another way for you to dance with life without stepping on her foot, right? And so if it's the enemy will be, and then you're fighting the enemy. And energy, when you fight back an energy, and again, having been also in your presence as a student, I know that you speak about this. If you empower the energy of negativity, that energy of negativity will encompass everything else around you. So then you become the disease, right? And Western medicine, for those of you out there, forgive me for bringing it up. I'm not necessarily speaking bad against Western medicine. I'm educating people to say Western medicine does that. It refers to people as their medical condition. The cancer patient, the thyroid patient, the bloated patient, that patient loses his personhood, her personhood, and become the disease. And what I tell my patients is make sure that you don't look at disease at the medical industry you're looking at as the enemy, but rather that you want to have a dialogue with that and say, okay, let me find out what is it that my body is trying to communicate with me. Let me take note. Let me, if something, it's whispers and write it down. It's like those of us who have taken exams throughout our lives in those multiple choice questions. They always say, your intuition, your first choice, it's likely to be the correct choice.
Mhm,
And
mhm.
when we ask people, what do you think you bloated? And if they take time to listen, I'd say, Mary, that in 80% of the cases, they have the answer. What they don't know is what to do with that answer. And that's where I come in.
I
And
see.
so it's really about reframing the whole aspect of disease, move away from the concept of the disease toward the concept of wellness. I think that's the first step.
Awesome. So do you think there's any connection between gut health and addiction?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, there is. It's a great question, actually. I was recently in a podcast with a dear colleague who's an expert in addiction, and what he reported is that um, in his experience, over 90% of people who come in with addiction also present with some kind of gastrointestinal condition, either inflammatory bowel disease, bloating, something called SIBO, which stands for small intestinal bacterial overgrowth. But why is that? It's easy to understand if you are educated about it, if somebody tells you, because your feel-good hormone called serotonin, we've heard the hormone serotonin, it's in Prozac, it's in a lot of those antidepressants, 90% of it is in your gut.
Really?
And it's astounding, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah,
90% of the
yes,
serotonin?
absolutely. It's in your gut. It's metabolized in there. It's produced in there. So your brain, the brain axis connection, which we're going to talk in a little bit, may tell your brain, may tell your gut, prepare for landing, right? When it's about when you need to eat, when you want to wake up, when you want to be active. But the gut is the one to take the message and make it happen.
Mhm.
And so if your gut is inflamed, if you're not eating the right food, if you're not connected with a part of yourself, your serotonin is diminished. When your serotonin is diminished, what most of us do is self-medicate. And we self-medicate with drugs, we self-medicate with alcohol, we self-medicate with over-sexuality. We even self-medicate with having too much fun out there. And when I say too much fun, I mean too much partying. We wanted to pretend that it's not there. And so there is a self-medication that's that's very strongly connected to feeling bloated, to feeling that your gut is not working correctly because it cannot produce the very thing that you need to be happy. Think of it as a tree. You have this beautiful apple tree in the back of your house that you planted there so that you can go collect your apples. But now there's something wrong with the tree where the apples are not being produced. What do? Do you chop down the apple or do you ask the question, why is the apple tree not producing apple? And that's what integrative medicine is about. That's what my book is about. It's teaching people to ask the question, why am I bloated? Why am I constipated? Why am I depressed? Why suddenly I am feeling a little bit too invested in drinking more, in using more recreational drugs, in eating more, right? Food addiction. And so, yeah, 100% yes.
Very
The
connected.
gut is very connected to addiction.
You know, there's a growing conversation around microbiome. What, do you have a simple explanation for that?
I do, because I wanted to understand what the microbiome was years ago when I was doing you mentioned my training in psychology, when I was doing my doctorate in psychology. This is 1996. And we were talking about the microbiome. It had another name. We didn't refer to the microbiome. And I couldn't visualize it. Remember, this is before medical school. So I didn't have the knowledge of the body the way I have it today. The physiological components and the anatomy of the body. So I was trying to understand what is the thing that harvests all this bacteria, the good bacteria, the bad bacteria. And suddenly I realized that it was like a beehive, that most of us, in fact, all of us, have never seen a microbiome because you cannot see on the naked eye, but most of us have either seen on a picture, a film, or in person, a beehive. And a beehive is to the body what the microbiome, a beehive is to honey, what the microbiome is to digestion, right? What is that? You have hundreds of thousands of bees working together with one single goal, and that is to produce good honey. But what does it need? Well, it needs good pollination, meaning food. It needs good water source. It needs good temperature. And we'll talk about why I bring this up in a little bit. It also needs a good beekeeper who is skilled enough to understand that the way to take care of their beehive is to give it what it needs without poking at it. And so when you go, right, when you go to the microbiome, there's agglomerations of good bacteria in your gut, the same bacteria that helps us make good wine, good cheese, yogurt, right? The bacteria that ferments our food, that helps our farmers with farming. That's the same bacteria that's also in our gut, helping us with our metabolic processes. What does it need, a microbiome? Well, it needs good food, just like pollination for the bees. It needs good temperature. You know, I'm astounded when I see people drinking cold drinks all the time. You know, ice over ice and more ice. And I'm thinking, well, that is not good for your gut, right? Because the gut has a specific temperature that is similar to your body. And if you add too much cold to it, it's going to restrict itself. When you restrict, you're restricting blood flow, the very thing that you need to be able to have good digestion. So eating cold food all the time, I'm not talking about once in a while. Who doesn't like cold, fruit salad on a night, on a beautiful summer day, or a nice iced tea? But people who do that all the time and do not allow the body to really have a little bit of the fire that it needs through temperature are actually restricting blood flow. And so when I say the beehive, your microbiome needs good temperature, that's what I mean. It's best to always keep your body at your food at the same temperature of your body, which is 97.6 degrees. And once in a while, we go a little higher, a little low, but do not make that an everyday thing because you're going to restrict the most amazing antioxidant that your body could ask for, which is your blood. You're going to restrict that flow. So a good temperature for the beehive, a good temperature for your microbiome. And what do I mean by leaving it alone? Well, in our busy world, we eat standing up. We drink cold drinks all the time. We eat a lot of sugar in our foods. We are stressed out, right? We go buy food through drive-through and we're trying to keep ourselves on the road while eating. I mean, digestion starts in your head. Digestion it's a process that requires you to be present. And so a good beehive keeper, a good microbiome keeper would understand that and would kind of give the beehive space for it to grow. And more importantly, a good beekeeper would not be spraying your beehive with pesticides because it's going to kill it. But yet we do that all the time in our culture by overusing antibiotics.
Go.
When you overuse antibiotics, what you're doing, you're in essence is spraying your beehive with pesticide. So I'm not saying there's not a place for antibiotics, by all means, we know there is. We've seen that it saves lives.
That's
But
why
the
I've seen you be so careful with giving them to me over time.
Oh yeah, Mary. Yeah, because uh, the purpose of antibiotics is to kill bacteria, but it's an equal opportunity killer. It will kill good bacteria and bad bacteria. You kill both.
Mhm.
And so why are we giving too much antibiotics for children when they have a little cold? A
Mhm.
lot of my patients come in and some get a little upset when I say you don't need the Z-Pack. Your body has all it needs. And you've been part of that journey with me. All it needs for you to get there. Now let's give it 5 days and see how it goes. Let's give 3 days. If it really needs, if it needs the antibiotics, it's going to tell us
Right.
through more symptoms. But until then, your body has everything that it needs to heal itself. So
Mhm.
that's my comparison of a beehive to the microbiome.
That's beautiful. Very, very helpful. I mean, I actually felt connected to that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, so you've taken us through the easy to follow steps to optimize it. Did you do that? So now that we understand it, what do we do?
Okay. Be aware of its existence. Know that it's there. And know that it's there as one of your best friends. Your microbiome is like, imagine a room filled with people, thousands and thousands of people rooting for you, saying, yes, Mary, you can do this. Yes, Edison, you can do this. We are here for you. We're going to help you get to that energy that you want. We're going to help you get to the clarity of mind that you want. We're going to help you eliminate the way you want. We're going to help you feel vital, sexy, energetic. That's, if you could imagine a room filled with thousands of people rooting for you, that's your microbiome. So what's the first step to improve it? Acknowledge it. Say thank you to it. Put your hand in your belly there sometimes and say, hey, thank you. Thank you for looking after me. And then you know what you need to do. Let go of all the bad food for you. I mean, if you think you like sugar, bacteria like sugar 3 times more than you do, right?
Mm. I've
What?
never heard it said that way. So if I think I like sugar, bacteria likes it 3 times more than I do. Wow.
At least,
Wow.
right? And so here we are trying to fight conditions such as COVID or inflammatory conditions, a headache. Yeah, sometimes can be due to stress or dehydration or too much bad food. We are trying to do that while feeding the same bacteria that may be causing the problem. So the first step is to ask yourself, do I really need this piece of candy? I mean, my mind does need it, but does my body? What would happen if I said no to it and went and get something healthier, right? The first step is to realize that you can make changes, that we believe that some things are imprinted, like a printing journal or a magazine that's printed. Our brain is very, there's incredible plasticity to our emotions, to our brain, to our gastrointestinal system, where it's always changing, right? We are always evolving as humans. So is the brain, so is our taste buds. The reality is when somebody says to me, Dr. Mello, you were asking me to stop eating sugar. I cannot do that. I said, if I told you that your life depended on you stop to eat sugar, stop eating sugar, would you say, no, I'd rather die than stop eating sugar? Is that what you're telling me? And people usually take a step back. I say, well, that's what you're saying. You're making sugar. Well, whatever bad food you may be, you may like, you may move towards, you make that food much more powerful than you. So the first question is, who's in charge? Who's in the driver's seat? That's the second question, the second step. And then ask for help. If you cannot do that by yourself, speak with a good friend who really adores you and says, you know, if it's you that I'm talking to, say, Maria, I have a problem with sugar and we spend some time together. I need you to help me be my barometer. I need to stop this. So would you be willing to help me with that? May I send you a list of things that I eat every day to you? If you don't want to work with a nutritionist, or if you don't want to work with somebody in the field, work with your best friends. Find friends that can go into a reset program together where you reset your system. So it happens that part of my book, we've created a program called the AKASHA Reset.
I know that. I've done that.
Yeah,
Yes.
and the
It's
because
very powerful, very powerful. Tell them, please tell our.
yeah, thank you, Mary. Well, when I wrote the book, I thought, okay, great, Edison, you write the book. Now what? What are people going to do with this information? What are the guidelines that they can follow? Step by step that is not difficult them to follow. So I created, along with my incredibly talented staff, something called the Reset, the AKASHA Reset.com program. What that is, it shows you step by step of how to kind of reset your computer, you know, reboot your computer when you see that your memory needs to, you know, your computer is running a little low and it's not really giving you back the
Sluggish.
feedback
It's
that it needs.
sluggish and how it's.
Sluggish.
Yes.
Great word.
Mhm.
Exactly. When you're feeling sluggish, when what do you do with the computer? You reboot it. Or in your body, we taught you how to reboot your system from a physiological standpoint about the foods that you eat, but also emotionally. For instance, how do you snack? What's the purpose of snack in your life, right? And what's your relationship with food? What's your relationship with, are you somebody who lives to eat or eat or eats to live? And do you want to change that? And so this reset program is an extension of the book that tells people how the steps that they can take to really have the energy of the dreams, to really wake up in the morning and feel like I'm ready to conquer. As you said in the beginning, beginning of our discussion, I'm ready to have the best health that I could dream of. I'm ready for this day, today, to be the first day of what I'm gonna embrace as good health for the rest of my life. And that's the reason why the book, together with the AKASHA Reset program, can do for you. So
Powerful, powerful.
yeah.
I know you have some gifts that we're going to give, and we're going to have the opportunity for you to answer questions here. And there's some coming in that I'll be happy to pass on to you. And the last one that I wanted to say is on the questions that I dreamed up to ask you. So creating one's dream and manifesting it is intrinsically connected to gut health. Is that the premise?
Oh my God, that couldn't be more true. Yeah, it's
Not only a
more
premise, it's the truth.
it's so true.
Tell us how that works.
Well, it's called, and one of the gifts that I want our incredible audience out there to receive, one of them is called, there's 2 ebooks, and one of them is called the Gut Brain Axis.
The gut
brain axis. Your
Mhm.
gut and your brain, as I said at the beginning, are intrinsically connected. In fact, I'll go a little further. In the stage of medicine, we see that we are transplanting several organs. We are doing facial transplants successfully so. We're doing double lung transplants. We're doing, limb transplant. And so being that I love medicine and I love what medicine can do for people, I'm astounded at the advance of transplantation medicine in the world. But one thing is sure, Mary, it's not in our lifetime, or maybe that of our grandchildren, that we're going to see a gut transplant. Because for that gut to be transplanted, it needs to have its original connections to the brain. And that is through vagus nerve, phrenic nerve, all those names that you've used before. because the brain gives the message to the gut for it to actualize what it needs, as I said at the beginning. So for instance, you're hungry. How do we know you're hungry? Well, your brain needs food, because without food, you're going to get sluggish, you're going to get tired, you're going to get a headache. So the brain then says, gut, I am hungry, prepare for landing. That's what it said. And so when that happens, you release digestive enzymes, you release hydrochloric enzymes, you release even some of the probiotics that you have in your body, the good bacteria there. You do this whole incredible step-by-step combination of things that your body needs to be able to very successfully not only digest the food, but eventually eliminate it. So the brain and gut connection is empirical to our life, to our existence with emotions. We talked about emotions, right? How we think that when we're taking antidepressants, that the antidepressants, it's working mostly on our neuronal cells. And that's not true. No, if somebody's been taking antidepressants for a number of years or anti-anxiety and it's not working, and they come into my office, the first step that I ask them is, what's your gut health? Because remember, the gut, it's the machine, it's the mechanism that's going to process it all. So the gut and the brain cannot be set apart. They cannot be separated. And so if you want to improve gut health, you improve brain health. If you want to improve brain health, you also improve gut health. When you do one, you are necessarily and very, very precisely helping the other one. So in the little book, in the little ebook that we're going to give it away, the gut-brain axis, we explain that connection. We explain the connection between the gut, right? Excuse me, about the brain, the gut, and your heart. Because why the heart? Well, you have to be up to it. You have to be willing to take the chance. And I made a joke when I wrote the booklet, and I refer to it as the three amigos. They work very together. Now, your brain, your heart brain, and your gut brain. So it's the three brains that I refer to. Let me repeat again: your brain, your heart brain, and your gut brain. They are all connected. So we're going to drop some of those links for you so that you can enjoy that.
It is so generous of you. There's two completely complementary ebooks: the gut-brain connection, which you just explained, and what it can do for us. And what about energy boost? That one's
the energy. Who does not want to have higher energy these days, right? Especially these days. So that book is also complimentary to our audience, in addition to other things that we're going to give it away. And the energy book, it explains to you in very simple, easy steps to take what it is, what are the primary steps for you to have the energy that it's so beautiful that it's going to keep you going, that's going to take you to the next level. And the way we do that is by explaining how food releases hormones, for example, some of the foods. We talked about exercise. Even when you don't have the time to do extraneous exercise, moving your body after you have, if you decided to eat better, is also a beautiful step towards better energy. Why is that? Well, we've been moving since the time of conception in our mom's uterus, right? In fact, in medicine, when you come in, when a pregnant mom comes in and we don't see the baby moving, we are a bit concerned.
Yeah.
So moving is in our DNA. And the moment we're born, we are flapping around, right? We're trying to connect to land, movement again. We lift our heads as soon as we can. We crawl. We want to walk. We want to move. The tendency of the body, the DNA of the body is to move. So when you move, you are very, very firmly increasing your energy. People say, but I'm too tired to move. I mean, move means not sitting on the couch the whole day. Move meaning going to outside in your garden or to a neighbor's garden, smelling the flowers, the first step. The second step towards energy is to see what foods you eat that makes you feel good. You know it. I'll give you an example. I could be considered a chocoholic because I love chocolate. But guess what? My body doesn't like it. My gut doesn't like it, right? Even the dark chocolate. So I make a choice. Well, you know, I have kids' birthdays sometimes and they like chocolate. So I will look, okay, it's one of my kids' birthday. I will have a little bit of a chocolate here, but I know that tomorrow I'll have to burn more calories, sweat a little bit more, walk a little bit more to eliminate that from my body.
It's not ultimately for you, it's not good for you.
It's not good for me. And we all have those foods that if I were to ask, you know, 100 patients, I can tell you, Mary, without any doubt that 100 patients would say, oh yeah, those are the foods that I don't feel good. And then I say,
in this book, Energy Boost, this ebook, Energy Boost, we're going to learn some of the things that are most easily changed for an experiment with having more energy in our lives.
Exactly. It talks about not only that, the experiment, but also talks about what supplements you can take.
All right. So I've got some questions, Dr. Edison. So first of all, I invited you early on to get a piece of paper. So if you'll write this down, AKASHA, AKASHA, it's going to be in your chat also or on your comments. AKASHA, AKASHA, just the way it sounds, reset.com/Mary. So AKASHA reset.com/Mary, and the free ebooks and all kinds of things, including access to amazing supplements, are at a discount, a significant and very generous discount. So can I bring you some of the questions that have been popping up?
Oh, please, please.
And we have time, I think, for about 5 or so.
Okay.
Okay. First one, what are your views on kombucha for gut health? And also, is caffeine toxic? That's kind of 2 questions, but kombucha for gut health, and is caffeine, you know, I'm not, sugar is not my thing. Caffeine is my thing.
I know. So, okay. So before I answer those questions, disclosure, for those of you asking those questions, I'm happy to answer from the bottom of my heart. Make sure that you clear any of my answers with your primary care practitioner, because I don't know your medical condition. And every food, every supplement, every recommendation that I make depends on knowing the patient's history. So having said that, kombucha can be really good for you if you need to have more probiotic in your system, if you feel like burping is something that it really is present in your life all the time, if you feel that you need to go and drink other non-healthy fermented drinks in order to be able to decrease the acidity in your body. We drink fermented drinks because we want to burp, and we burp because we have enough excess gas. You can burp from your mouth, obviously. You can also pass gas. The process is the same, the mechanism. So yeah, kombucha for some people can be really good, but you know, make sure that you don't have diabetes. Make sure that your sugar is well controlled, because kombucha has natural sugars in it. And make sure that you don't have gastritis or any gut inflammation that is severe, because kombucha can make it worse.
Okay. Caffeine. Is caffeine toxic to your gut health?
Caffeine is one of the most studied herbs out there. And the latest is that coffee, without anything, black coffee, is actually one of the most potent antioxidants that there is. Okay. I know. But that also another disclosure, Mary, as you know.
Not too much, right?
I know, not too much, but another disclosure. I'm Brazilian, so you don't expect a Brazilian to say don't drink coffee, right? They give it to us when we were born through our veins. So what's the problem with coffee? Well, many problems. One, what we put in it.
Mhm.
I mean, we put so much junk into it. We put, sugar. We put, some of us who have lactose intolerance that do not do really well on dairy products. We insist in putting milk there, and they say, Dr. DeMello, it's just a little bit. But I said, but a little bit is still, your
Yeah.
body is still having to titrate that. And we drink it excessively. So caffeine does have side effects. The side effect is it's an energy booster. It will keep you up. It also can be a cane. What do I mean by a cane? I don't want to do anything about my mid-afternoon sluggishness. I'm going to go drink a cup of coffee instead of saying, wait, why am I sluggish? So if you're using coffee to boost up energy that you need to have, but you're not getting because you're not asking your body the question, what's happening here, or somebody that you trust, then caffeine is not for you.
I see.
Caffeine in the morning gives you a boost of energy, which is good. We use caffeine as medication, right? For people with migraines, for instance, they're caffeinated medications that we can use. So it's about the amount, it's about where you put in it, and it's about how strong it is. Some people drink what I refer to as mud coffee or coffee mud. It is so thick. So make sure that it's not very thick, that it's within acceptable ranges of strength. And if you had a choice, try not to use a French press, because when you use a French press, there's no mechanism of filtering your coffee. Filtering your coffee through, organic paper cup, paper filter it's the best. Or if you have any other ways to filter your coffee, because you do have some remnants of coffee that, need to be kind of weeded out.
Yeah.
And so I recommend that.
Okay, awesome. There's a question that came in. How do antidepressants and anti-anxiety drugs affect gut health?
An excellent question from the participant. It affects both positively and negatively. Let's start with the positively. If you have a chemical imbalance, and some of us do have chemical imbalance, the idea that you need to live with it, you should try to overcome it, you should try harder, can really be disheartening to somebody who's suffering for a chemical imbalance. And so in those situations, you know who you are, because of family history, because of other histories that you've had in your health. I strongly advise that you speak with a physician, with somebody who can understand the pharmacological advantages of antidepressant and anxiety. So that's when it's good. When it's not good is when you are not asking the question is, why am I depressed? Why am I anxious? And then we are a culture, beautiful culture, most of the time, but nevertheless, a culture that is addicted to immediate gratification. We do not know how to sit still. And you know that, Mary, you teach that so beautifully. We don't know how to sit still. What we want it yesterday, right? We don't know how to be patient. We don't know how to, what I refer to in psychology when I was practicing as the anxiety container. There's a container when you're a little anxious about what's happening. It's a container, and being in that container can be really helpful, because ultimately that container can reveal the answer to you. So if you're taking antidepressant, anti-anxiety, before doing the work, before looking inside and saying, do I want to be taking this for the rest of my life? Am I self-medicating because I don't feel I have the energy to really go and find ways to be happier, find a way to realize my dreams, find a ways to be in a better relationship, find a way to get rid of toxic people in my life. If you're using medication for that reason, then I must say that it is for the wrong reason.
Mhm.
If you're using it because there's a chemical imbalance, by all means, and I prescribe it often to people with the chemical imbalance. Does that answer the question,
It
Mary?
does. I think it answers it beautifully.
Okay.
And then just the question on supplements. Do you believe in supplements?
I do believe in supplements. I don't believe that the supplements is the answer to all the maladies in the world, everything that's wrong with human beings, health-wise. I think that supplements, when you use in synergy with good food,
Mhm.
with good nutrition, with exercise, with looking inside ourselves and doing the work, I think it can be an incredible catalyst for better health. Vitamin C, for example, Linus Pauling, right? Uh, changed the world there of cancer treatment with vitamin C. Vitamin D, we know that it's a hormonal-like vitamin, and there's no way we can get enough vitamin D because we cannot spend 4 hours in the sun every day, because it's not feasible time-wise, and also because we put a hole in the ozone layer, so there's no protection. So you need the vitamin D, digestive enzyme. When you're feeling like I'm not digesting my food really well, maybe I haven't had a chance to eat a lot of good digestive food this week, foods with digestive enzymes, it can be excellent for you. If you're sick and you feel like you need your immune to be a little boosted, then one of our incredible supplements over the years is immune support. If you feel like you need to sleep and you're feeling a little tense, so you have what's called restless leg syndrome, where you feel restless in bed, then magnesium is excellent. So the question is, stop and ask yourself, why am I taking this? And what do I need in addition to this? Most people will need supplement, but supplement alone without a good dietary regimen, a good notion of what you want out of your health, what is your body whispering to you, will not do much if you don't combine them together.
I see. So this is our fifth question. Is a nutritionist necessary to help me? Is a nutritionist necessary to help me, or can the Reset program help me understand what I need?
Excellent question. So there's a difference between a dietitian and a nutritionist. So let's start with that. A dietitian is somebody who will work with diabetic patients, for example, will measure his weight or her weight, will make sure that there's enough fluid coming in and out. What goes in has to be an equal amount of goes out. It's really looking at how to better control one's sugar intake, blood pressure, and really looking at calories, basically. That's the job of a dietitian. And there's some incredible ones out there. Our program utilizes nutritionists. And nutritionists are people trained in the functional world of medicine, integrative medicine, to look at you and ask the question, what is it that you think needs to change with your eating? That's the question that she or he will ask. Mary, you are part of the Reset program. What's your goal? And what do you think the first steps that you need to take towards improving that your health outcome, your longevity, your energy, your libido, your vitality. And so in that regard, if you've never done any Reset programs before, then I highly recommend that you do consider engaging with one of our nutritionists in it. She's part of the program. Now, there are a lot of people out there who say the Reset, AKASHA Reset is so self-explanatory that I don't think I need it. I will go as far as I can. And if I need it, then I'll reach back and ask for assistance.
Yeah, that seems good.
Which I think is excellent, a good way, because the whole program, goal of the program, in addition to help you increase your vitality, your longevity, your overall health, is to also give you agency about your health, right? I know you're
And
going to
it
laugh
does,
about this.
and that reset program does exactly that.
I know
So
it does.
Dr. Edison,
I
yes.
know. And you know, my team has been, because we're so excited to be talking to you, Mary. The team put together a program that for this particular talk, we are offering the Reset program at 40% discount.
Amazing.
So again, it's right there. You can look at the link at 40% discount. We also have the book that I wrote. If you go to the AKASHA Reset.com, the book is available to you. And you put the coupon
Mary.
/ Mary,
Yes.
and you get that book at 50% off.
It's amazing.
I know. We want people to benefit from this, Mary. You want people, our goal is to take AKASHA out of AKASHA and to let people really see why we're doing this now for over 22 years.
I'm just so grateful you took time today to reach out to all the people that we could reach out through this medium today, this blessed medium. I've been the the recipient of the energy of AKASHA. Of course, as I mentioned, I've been coming, 14 years, and I wanted to support taking it out to Dr. Edison, that people who are really up to something in the world, things matter to them, they're contributors, they're creators, and then we're in a culture where we've been trained to, as you mentioned, many things, wanting a quick fix on things. And just even the slight shifts that I've made over time have had a massive difference over time in my life, and preventing dis-ease in vitality and energy and clarity. And I'm just so grateful for the dynamic help that I enjoy in most of my life. Last month when I had COVID, you walked me through that step by step. So this I just want to encourage everyone who's here today, take advantage of this moment. This won't always be here. Go to akashareset.com /Mary. Take advantage of this moment. If any of this inspired you, then an inspiration without action is ultimately just entertainment. And I don't believe you came here today to be entertained. I believe you came here to have great benefits in your life, for all the things that matter to you and all the dreams that you have. Dr. Edison de Mello, you are a gift to the world, a deep blessing in my life, and I know you've been a blessing to every person who came today. Thank you.
I'm so grateful,
much.
Mary. Thank you for taking the time. Thank you for this beautiful connection of 14 years. And as we part, I want to say thank you to you, because one of my coined sentences that I use now throughout my work in public speaking, it started with you in this very office that I'm sitting right now when you came in. And I used that term with you about referring to your body as your firstborn.
Yes. I didn't. I said, I have a son. He was my firstborn. He says, no. He's your first birth child. Your firstborn is your body.
And I don't, you were the first one that I used to, they used the word with, the term with, meaning that at one time in our lives, our body becomes our child. We feed it, we protect it from being hit by a car, we put it to sleep, we shower it. And the way you've embraced that, and taken that to heart in your life, in the life of your incredible staff and family, means the world to me. So thank you, Mary.
Thank you for leaving.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you for coming.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for coming today.
Bye, everybody.
Every minute of it. All right.
Bye.
Bye.